Right. Evening, everyone. I hope everyone is good. And for those of people that have just popped from the other class to this class, welcome back. I think the turnout is not going to be great. My understanding is that there are things happening. Um, I get the impression that there must be something else happening because I have apologies from a vast number of people. So I'm assuming something is going on, and I can't even guess what it is with you. Right, let's escape there. And let's look at submission two. I've not looked at submission two at all, I would assume, considering where we are. Oh, you bugger. Right, so here is submission two. Let's go through this. We can go through that. We rather look at the rubric. I just want to see what a research topic, 300 words, problem statement, research questions, hypotheses, or objectives, depending on what you're doing, rationale, sampling, methodology, research. So this is your proposal, essentially. It's the lead into the proposal. And obviously, is this the presentation now, guys? The second submission, is this the presentation?
Yes, for tomorrow night's a bit of the presentation. So I think that's what we all finishing up and doing. So I know Rivasha, I think that's our pod leader. We're doing ours tomorrow night.
Okay, but it's not the full presentation because you
No,
guys wouldn't be ready with that yet.
no, we're
So it's
not.
just a practice run.
It's a practice
What are
run.
you presenting on, Kim?
So we are basically doing we're doing what we are so it's basically those six things that we had to do. We have to give our research problem, our problem statement, our aim of the study, the research questions, the rationale, and then going on to the draft methodology and the draft research instrument. That's what they want from us tomorrow night.
But we've not done that in class.
So Ravash has done some with us.
Yeah.
We've worked on it, I think, on maybe 1.5 lessons. And yeah, so I don't know. We haven't done it in class, but this is literally, yeah, we've gone a bit ahead.
Well, that's bloody impressive, guys. So I'm going to focus on the important stuff. So the relationship between your title and your topic is, if you look at your title, your topic is literally the broader description of your title. So whatever your title is, just expand a bit in terms of giving more detail around that title. So it's often the funnel approach. From your topic, you would then funnel into your title, but because of the nature and the time constraints that we had here, we went the other way around. So if we then look at the stuff that will go into the background, I think the background is part of your reality in terms of describing your topic. So in terms of the background, I think the important bits and pieces to remember here is that when you do your background, get your introduction right. So we would have spoken about the introduction already, the need to grab attention and that those transition sentences. In terms of the background, this is where you start giving numbers, facts, and stats around your topic. Remember, in terms of those numbers, facts, and stats, really just starting to build up some sort of idea why this is worth researching. So it's this kind of notion that with all these events that are taking place, this really starts giving us an indication why this particular issue has to be researched. So, in terms of that, be very, very careful of just assuming that because some research hasn't been done, that is important. I think we've got to then always remember to look at our research problem. So, in terms of the problem statement, we write a problem statement with these three components. Can I just also say, guys, if you don't do parts A and C, part B is the important bit. The key thing, and I've recently marked some stuff, the key thing with your problem statement is that you have to write it as a problem. Some of the mistakes that people make when they do their problem statement is that they start giving me solutions in that problem. So be very careful of that, because if you already have the solutions, so why would we then do the research? So you have to describe the problem as the deficiency, as the gap between what should happen and what is happening. The focus in terms of that problem statement, try and give me some references, some evidence that this is not just opinions. So give us some detail in terms of where you've read, what you've read around this particular deficiency, the stuff that had suggested that this is a deficiency. Be careful of opinion as fact, because we know that often happens. But the one thing, and I'm going to repeat myself, please don't start telling me what you think the solutions are. Because if you already have the solutions, then you don't have a reason to do this research. So in terms of the ideal, and this is how we've always written a problem statement, the ideal is, and you can say, in the ideal world, we will be able to, and you can then link that back to your title. The reality is the deficiency, and part 3 is essentially what you intend to do in this research to remedy that particular problem. Now, I don't know, I teach so many of these guys, so my apologies. Have we looked at some people's problems already in terms of these courses? I cannot remember, my apologies. Who wants to give me a title, and then we can see if we can figure out what the problem is? In particular, somebody who's struggling with their problem statement. I'm quite happy to try and help. So everyone's got their problem statement sorted, because that's very impressive. That is very impressive. Okay, so Neil, we'll take that, the use of artificial intelligence amongst in crafting digital marketing content. So the simple truth is, the problem there is that artificial intelligence is our reality. And we've seen how artificial intelligence have had the ability to mislead, to provide inaccurate information, to not always be accurate, and also how social media influencers have used this false information in order to generate interest in what they do. So we have to start understanding, how do we use artificial intelligence? How has it been used in terms of creating the kind of marketing content? Because if we don't understand that, the issue remains that you could end up with the kind of misleading bits that appear, and it appears everywhere, from TikTok right through to Facebook, including Instagram. Anil, what did you put as your problem? The other problem is that some social media influencers have such a significant impact and following that, using artificial intelligence unethically in order to generate interest could have severe consequences in terms of the world in general, in terms of, offending people. I don't know if I'm on the right track, Anil. Maybe I'm off track. Kim, give me yours.
Okay. Sorry, I'm
Okay,
clicking my mic and
fantastic.
unclicking my mic. So
Okay.
mine is exploring the role of parental involvement in students' academic performance in Johannesburg, a qualitative study.
Okay. So the reality is that with the world we're in, students face so many challenges when it comes to academic performance. There are issues that sometimes stem from things outside of their control, outside the teacher's control, things that happen at home, and also just in general where the world is at, bullying and those kinds of things. And we have to understand what parents can do. And if we don't really understand what role parents can play, we can never really guide parents as to this is what the ideal relationship with the school would be. I don't know how off track that is, Kim.
That sounds exactly where I was going. That is the seriousness of it worldwide. That is obviously what we are facing, and is, like you say, is the problem that we worry about. And then I went on to say that parent involvement it's acknowledged that it's an important factor in students' success.
Yeah, so
So
that would be
that
your
would be
part A.
that would be my part A, right?
Yeah, so that
Okay,
would be your part A. Okay,
right.
so ideally, we know that parents have to be part of a student's academic journey. However, with the realities that students face, and we also know, I mean, there's so many stats around teenage suicides, and I mean, there's so many things that essentially can go wrong in terms of a person's academic career, that you need to know what exact role the parents would play. It's easy to say that they have to be involved, but it's also, we don't really always know how should they be involved, because you don't want helicopter parenting.
No, absolutely. We love that. No, no, thank you. No, thank you. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's that kind of role that we want. We want it to be a positive role. We wanted to assist for the child, not as opposed to for the parent. So yes.
Yeah, what can I just say with the helicopter parenting? One of my third years from first semester's mom wrote and complained about a comment that I made online.
Oh,
I was unhappy about an exam, and I said, guys, yeah, no, for me, I don't agree with this exam. And we have a rule about the WhatsApp group. What happens on the group stays on the group. And she
yes.
quoted me word for word what I had said. And but give, yeah, give credit where credit is due. I think Tammy took it from whence it came. But I think
Right.
you get these people. I mean, the kid is 21. Your
But
mommy's
this
still
is
writing letters for you.
This is why I don't think I'm going to stop here, because this is the issue we have. I teach babies. I teach the 2 to 3 year olds at the moment. I teach to matric, but
Okay.
at the moment I'm building up Trinity houses, quad noughts, 4 noughts. So they're at school for
Okay.
16 years. And
Mm.
I'm seeing how parents at that age are trusting the teacher and going with the teacher and relying on the teacher. But then parents, where my son is in grade 7, are they may as well be the quad naught child's parent. So
Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
you have such inconsistency, and it's not teaching the child anything. It's not benefiting our children. Our children are becoming helpless. They are becoming they can't stand on their own 2 feet, and that is for me the very, very hard thing. Their independence is being taken away from them without them even being able to say, no, I want my independence.
Well,
And
I chaired
that's
a hearing once where the
yes.
person's dad arrived at the hearing in a business. The person's parent arrived in the business, at the business where the hearing was. And obviously I kicked him out, but yeah.
And that's where we've got to, as educators, we've got to find the balance. And I mean, this is maybe off some other people's topics, but for me, what I've had to learn is that it's no longer that I'm the teacher and I have children that I teach. I have to build a relationship with that whole family. And again, like we say, what happens in these classes stay in these classes. But I had a student that started this year, and they came to their first day of school. They'd been to their welcome party, etc., etc. And on the first day, they couldn't leave their child, and I took them out of the class, and I said.
Oh my goodness.
I said, not, I won't say the names. I said, Mommy and Daddy, more than your child is not ready to go to school, you are not ready to let them go to school. So, you need to make a decision, because if you can't trust me, you are not, they are heads of law firms, very, very qualified, incredible business people, and can run businesses. But sadly, as parents, there's no degree, there's no doctorate, there's no nothing so they are terrified. Parents are terrified these days.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely, Kim. I think it's a wonderful topic.
So
Charles,
it'll go.
remind me.
Hi, sir. I'm just going to quickly pop it in the chat box so that you can just go
Okay.
back and read it.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
Yes.
Okay.
So obviously, I'm struggling a little bit with my research question, but I feel like I'm on the right track.
Okay.
So the one that I was thinking was like, how do the employees perceive the role of individual performance management in influencing their work performance?
Yeah, Muzimal, okay, boy, go for it. Okay, okay, so we'll get to the research question now, but you've got your research problem sorted.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that, sir.
Okay, well, because I mean, in terms of your research problem, I think the reality is that, you know, there's so many there's so many variables that influence performance in an organization. And there's so many
Yes.
things that can go wrong in terms of managing performance. And we see, in particular in municipalities, where the levels of productivity are exceptionally low. We sit with instances where, you know, you've got qualified audits, and all of those are the consequence
Yes.
of people not performing. So that's your problem.
Yes.
That is the problem that you're looking at.
Okay,
Okay.
I get you. Yes.
And that's the issue. So the deficiency is that, you know, we've had all these systems in terms of management, yet we still see organizations underperforming. We still see organizations getting qualified audits. We see productivity levels that are exceptionally low. And we know that unless something is done to address these issues, municipalities will keep collapsing as they are.
Yes, agreed.
So that's your problem. That's your research problem.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, then I'm kind of with you, sir, because yeah, I was gonna say like my one problem question could be like, how do the employees like perceive the role of individual performance in influencing their work performance? Because they could feel that maybe it doesn't actually help them, you know?
So who are you? Okay, let's go to we'll do that when we get to the questions, Charles. Let's finish the problem first, and then we'll go to the questions.
Okay, I'm with you. Thanks, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I think everyone has an idea in terms of that. So the research questions, which is next. So remember, and we have discussed this in class, because I remember somebody asking me a why question, and I had to zig with that, because I had repeatedly told people you can't ask why questions when you do when you do qualitative research. I remember that clearly. Okay, so your research questions, Chelsea, sorry, you were jumping slightly ahead. Okay, remember to just embrace your title in your research questions. Okay, what is the perceived influence of performance management on employees in terms of service delivery? So you can almost turn, Charles, as your broadest question, you can turn your title into that, if that makes sense. Okay, and I think you've done that.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that was kind of like my biggest like first question in terms of basically asking what is my research title trying to figure out, like do employees actually feel it helps improve it, or how do they perceive individual performance on their work performance?
Yeah, so you can say, what is the perceived role of individual performance management on improving service delivery within your municipality or something? What are
Yes.
things that you looked?
Sorry, sir, you cut out a bit there.
the sub questions. So you have the overarching, the single broadest question, and then you'll have your sub questions, your clarifying questions.
I was thinking like maybe like something to do with what are the challenges with individual performance?
Okay, yeah, you can definitely do that. What are the challenges associated with individual performance management?
Yes, and then
Okay.
like maybe another one could be like what how do employees feel individual performance might affect their quality, or but I feel like that is kind of the main question, but
Yeah, so be
yeah.
careful not to repeat it. So why don't you look um, at some of the elements of performance management? Okay, so what
Okay.
role does goal setting say? What role does goal setting play as part of the performance management process? What role does corrective action play, and what role does feedback play? Because those are the elements of, if you think of it, of performance management. It's goal setting, it is the sort of controlling part, and then also the feedback part and the training part. If
Yes, I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
actually definitely also training, sir. But I think that's actually going to be perfect, especially with the what role does goal setting play? Because remember, I also used the goal setting as one of my theories.
So yeah. So what role do goal setting play? Yeah. So or what role, what managerial support is required, and then what is the role of feedback? So you almost take that as your process questions. So your overarching question, the broadest question, and the rest would be your process question.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, sir. That
Yeah,
that,
no
that helps me a
problem.
great deal.
Okay. Guys, anyone else? Anyone else struggling with their research question? So, Anil, yours would be what role does artificial intelligence play among social media influencers in creating digital marketing content? And then again, you would look at the sort of awareness raising. You would look at the feedback received. So always just think of your broadest, your central question as the single broadest question you can ask, and then just look at the process around marketing, and then break that into your questions. Anil, I know you can't talk. Does that make sense in terms of yours? Anyone else want to share their bits in terms of their research questions?
Can I ask, Kenny? Sorry, I haven't got
Yes.
access to the chat. So it's when I try and go into the chat, it says to me I
Oh,
haven't
crap.
got,
Okay.
it says
Yeah,
chat
no.
isn't available.
Oh,
So
my
only members of
word.
the team have access to the chat. So I don't know. Technology, we love it. So my
Sorry, hold
central
on a
question.
second, Kim. Sorry, Kim, hold on a second. Okay, Neil, so you'll just have a single question. And Neil, but who's
Can you
your
hear
pod
me now?
leader? Yeah, I can. Who is your pod leader?
Shanice is my pod leader.
Well, Shanice should know better. I mean, it can't be exploring. Are you doing quantitative? You said here you're doing
Yes, I am doing quantitative. I even did my present and that presentation thing today. And she never said anything was wrong with it. I asked
Okay,
about
yeah,
my
no,
title.
no,
I
but
did
that's
ask
fine.
about my title though, but she
Please
said
do
I
me a,
mustn't change it.
please just change it to describing the use of, please don't say exploring, because that's more a qualitative thing. Maybe please just say describing. Okay. I'll
Okay.
chat to her about it.
Okay, no
Describing or
problem.
explaining. Remember, we spoke about this right at the beginning.
Yes, and that's why I asked today if I needed to change it. And then she said, "Oh, because in my one part, I did mention there that we're gonna examine. I mean, we're gonna describe because I'm using descriptive research.
Okay. What are your theories that you're using?
The TAM model, technology acceptance model, and DOI, diffusion of innovation. Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm listening,
Oh, okay.
Anil. Okay, so you'll have a single question. Okay, I'm going to leave it with Shanice. I'll talk to Shanice. Please change that to explaining or describing. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Because you've written it as a qualitative title.
Okay, that's fine. I'm making a note right now.
Neil, maybe I need to chat to Shanice. Okay.
Okay, sir, no problem.
Will you prompt me tomorrow with WhatsApp?
Okay, I'll do that. I'll send you one tomorrow morning.
Okay, Neil, please don't panic. I mean, Shanice, I just want to hear Shanice's thinking around this. Because remember, Shanice trained under me, so her and I often think very, very similarly. So did Ravasha, actually, train under me. Okay, let
And
me
they were
know.
both in my
Okay.
presentation today.
Were they both there?
They were both
Okay.
there for mine, yeah.
Okay, let me not comment more than that. Let me find out what's going on.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, sorry, man. Guys, anyone else want
Can
to
I give
share
mine?
their?
Can
Yeah,
I
sorry,
give-
Kim. I'm so rude. My
Not
apologies.
at all. Not at all. This is very real, and yeah, it's intense. So I had a few questions, which Shame Ravasha assisted me very nicely. I sent her basically my presentation, and she came back with all her comments, and I then fixed it accordingly. So my main research question is: in what ways do parents participate in their children's education?
Just tell me your title again.
The title is Exploring the Role of Parental Involvement in Students' Academic Performance in Johannesburg, a Qualitative Study.
Please do me a favor, make that your major research question. What
Okay.
role does parental involvement play in student performance?
So that's
Okay, make that your overarching question.
okay. So that is basically my research question.
Your broad research question. Remember, you'll have an overarching question if you're doing qualitative, and you'll have sub-questions.
Yes. And then can this one where I
Sub-questions.
said in what ways, could that be a sub-question?
Just read that again to me.
In what ways do parents participate in their children's education?
Okay, yeah. So just rather say how can.
How can?
Yeah,
Perfect.
so
And then
to make it more positive, how can, because we are finding out, or yeah, how can
parents
parents participate?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. But then won't I get into
then-
trouble for saying that's my main thing, and then this research thing is this research question is also the main
see, so for me,
title.
can I just say, I would just say, you see what role
could I maybe say what is the role of parental
because we've got
involvement?
the broad question. So
Yes.
for me, what are the sub elements? You see, I'm trying to think of the sub elements now.
So if
Really,
I go
think
the sub elements of the actual of what my
so
interview is
why
going to
don't
be.
you say what is the role of teacher? What role does teacher-parent communication play?
Okay, right.
Because your first
Yes.
sub question, what role does teacher-parent communication play?
Perfect.
What role do or the ongoing teacher-parent communication?
Ongoing,
What
right.
role do parent-teacher meetings play?
Yes, I've got that as my sub questions. Yes.
Okay, and then what media can be used to promote parent involvement in academic performance?
Okay. So my research question is still that big question.
Still take it to your title. Just take it from your title.
Okay.
Just turn your title into your research question, because that's
So
the broadest. That's the single broadest question you can ask. Remember, that's the golden thread.
Yes.
See, I don't want to contradict your pod leaders, guys.
No, but this is not contradicting.
Can I just say,
So
both
this is not
Shanice
contradicting.
and I mean they honestly, I mean we work really well together. So Anil, yours is easier to sort. I think you can fix it. I'm a little bit concerned about Anil's, but I'll find out from Shanice what her thinking is and her thought processes are. Okay, yours is fine. I think, but yeah. So just those sub. So keep your broad question as broad as possible. Remember, the central question is the single broadest question you can ask about your particular topic, and that is your title.
It is 100%. That's great.
Okay.
It's so there's been no contradiction in that at all. It's just, I think it's our understanding, because I keep wanting to put things into blocks, if I can put it that way. I keep wanting to put things into, like, this is the title, this is the research question, so it actually all just flows into one another. And that's, I think, what I've got to understand. I keep wanting to make them all different. And so from our side, Rivash has been incredible, really, really incredible. Thank you.
Ravash is, I mean, yeah, yeah,
Incredible.
she's fantastic. I mean, I have no other term for her. I mean, she is just fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. Somebody shared their stuff. Sinako, did you share that? Who shared this bit at the bottom here?
Yes, please, Doc. Can we please look at mine? Because I don't know.
What is your title?
My title is Exploring Strategies to Improve Suppliers' Late Payments within the context of Eastern Cape Education. So I'm not sure whether I should take number 4 to be the broadest question. I don't know. And then the sub-questions.
Just read me your title again.
Exploring Strategies to Improve Suppliers' Late Payments within the context of Eastern Cape Education.
I think that's fine. Submit invoices, late payments, factors influence. Yeah, so just I wouldn't have, remember you, and then make all of your stuff to explore. I wouldn't have 4 questions. I would get rid of the one that doesn't link to an objective at the bottom.
Number 4, okay.
No, but remember, you've got this wrong, Sinako. These here need to link directly to those sub-questions. These need to link to the sub-questions. So these don't talk to your sub-questions at all. So how do suppliers, to explore how suppliers submit their invoices? How do suppliers deal? How to explore how suppliers deal with late payments? What factors influence? To explore the factors that influence. So your questions have to become your research objectives. These are not, the golden thread is completely gone here.
Yeah,
you can listen to the recording later, Sinako, and you'll see if you listen to it again, it'll make sense. But your questions become your objectives. The sub-questions become your objectives. So I would get rid of question 4.
All right. Get rid of question 4. Okay. Doc,
and then turn these 2 and link those together. Okay.
All right. Cool. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, guys, I think I might not have shared my stuff. Anyone else want to chat about their stuff? Was everyone on track? So just remember your sub-questions. If you're doing quantitative, you'll have a single question, guys. And that's, yeah, okay. So I've given lots of examples how to write these main questions. The rule is never use why. And then just in terms of quantitative studies, a single question. You see, for me, when we did these and Neil, and this is where I need to chat to Shanice tomorrow, is I would have looked at the relationship between, but again, I'll chat to her tomorrow. I'm a little bit lost on that one. So just remember, in terms of quantitative research questions, guys, keep it simple. what is the relationship between the independent and dependent variable? Okay. And then what else are you doing tomorrow? Do you need to do the aim of the study tomorrow in your presentations?
Yes, I think we do. But now, like the other lady said, she's already done hers today. But ours, we had to do the aim. We had to do the aim.
Yeah.
That was our
And
second
you can't
thing.
go wrong if you use that sentence, Kim. The purpose of this paper is to.
Perfect.
And again, link it back to your title.
Right.
To determine or to explore the.
Thank you.
So just remember, guys, you cannot, if you end up in the wrong place by using that opening line, you're illiterate. And no one here is illiterate. Okay. So it's the easiest way to do that. And there are other alternatives. I like the idea of giving scripts to this. The rationale, I think we have discussed the rationale. Guys, just generally the rationale. And again, for me, the way I think of the rationale, and I'm so sorry to sound like a broken record, is the idea of what would happen if I left this problem alone. If you ask that question, what happens if we leave this problem alone? You will find the justification of the study. If we leave this problem alone, if you can figure that out, you can start writing your rationale. For me, that is possibly the best place to start, would be those consequences, how serious those consequences would be. And again, Kim, in terms of your example, the consequences are severe, because I mean, the academic performance, if we look at academic performance in this country, it is scary. We keep dumbing down our matric papers to get pass rates that mean absolutely nothing.
Mm.
So the consequences are severe.
Right.
Okay. Guys, so in terms of your rationale, the justification for doing it, I think the idea is that you almost want to provide a powerful justification. Because if you say to me, and I ask you what would happen if you don't have a reason to do research, you don't have a reason to do research. So in terms of the population, I think the population would be the total group of individuals that you are going to draw your people from. So again, guys, in terms of your population, it would be possibly all of those individuals that share this specific characteristic that relates to your research question. So again, a reminder of the golden thread. So you would look at the research question and you would say to yourself, who could answer this particular question? So it's that one characteristic that will make up your population. And generally, it's the group of individuals that you would want to talk to. If you could speak to everyone involved, which is not possible, that's why we do sampling, that essentially could help you answer your research question. And then in terms of the population, guys, remember to funnel this one as well. So from the population, you would then have your target population. It would be Gauteng or whatever the case may be. And the accessible population would be those individuals that essentially are linked to your particular school or something like that. So again, it's the funnel approach. So start with the total population, look at the target population, and then say within the target population, who can I reasonably expect to access to get responses to my questions or to get to complete my surveys. So I think generally those are the questions that you want to ask and answer. So in terms of sampling, if we look at positivism, so the quantitative researchers, the simple way to do it is, and don't overthink this, you have to start with the umbrella term, which is probability sampling. And probability sampling means that within this population, you have people who will have an equal chance of being selected. Okay, so it's completely random. So you're not going to pinpoint specific individuals that you want to talk to. I would simply do random sampling, probability random sampling. Please explain to me what probability sampling and the consequence of probability sampling, and the fact that people have equal opportunity to be selected. Random sampling, essentially, if you throw the names into the hat and you draw the names out. In terms of the research design, you will be doing quantitative research. Please just remember, in terms of the variables that you are going to look for the relationship, I would use existing questionnaires. So please don't redesign questionnaires, use existing questionnaires. Obviously, we're not going to do experiments on people. You will do designs or surveys. So you will look at the two variables that you have, and you will then go and look online for specific questionnaires that have already been designed around those variables. And then it's your survey. My suggestion is use Google Forms or a similar thing. Upload the questionnaire, and remember, use an existing questionnaire, and then start by essentially pinpointing the fact that you are going to use the internet. Remember, part of this process is to get people to give consent to take part in the research. So, and what is important in terms of that consent, guys, you can build it into the questionnaire on Google. You can actually say, by ticking this box, you consent to be part of this particular piece of research. Brett, go for it.
Any, just a quick one. I just wanted to check with you with regards to the questionnaire. In part 2, I think it asks us to develop questions. Do we incorporate those questions in part 2, or is it a separate file that we upload? How do we amalgamate it into this assessment?
Okay, so I would just put it as an annexure, because if you're doing quantitative research, it's easier to have the questionnaires as an annexure. For qualitative research, just stick it as an annexure as well. So qualitative research would be your questions you're going to ask, your interview questions. Here you would have your surveys. So just stick your surveys in as an annexure.
Okay, with you.
Okay, boy, and just refer to it in the content. Okay.
All right, super.
Okay. Guys, and then in terms of data analysis, this is where we'll do a lot of help and a lot of training. Your focus is to get to validity. We are not going to get to generalizability. We don't have the number of questionnaires completed for generalizability. Reliability is the ability to repeat results, and objectivity, so you can talk about the data analysis. We'll spend quite a bit of time on looking at data analysis. I've got a layout of what you will do here. So you'll look at the people that have returned the survey, and then you'll do your descriptive analyses. Your descriptive analysis, mean, median, mode, those kinds of things. So it then is, once you've started working out the averages, etc., and the spread of the data, you will then start drawing conclusions and writing about those conclusions. If you are going to go to correlation, we'll also look at the correlation between your variables. Interpretivism, going to be qualitative design and qualitative research. Here, there are a couple of changes. I mean, population, I would simply go with non-probability purpose of sampling linked to snowball sampling. Having said that, we only have to interview 3 people. So here, people don't have an equal opportunity to be selected in non-probability sampling. So what will happen is, I would just purposefully select specific individuals to interview. we are adopting a phenomenological research approach. Again, this is, yeah, I mean, guys, it's up to 10 people. So here we're looking at a slightly higher level of qualification. You're interviewing 3 people. Please don't think your interviews are going to be less than an hour. These interviews generally take quite a bit of time to do. And then your data collection, please only interviews. If there are observations and people will share some information with you in the form of documents, then just account for it. And then your data collection, yeah, open-ended interviews. And remember, practice those interviews. Go for it, Chelsea.
Sorry, sir. Actually, I just want to ask, if we interview people in person or even on Teams, would you want us to also like record it?
You have to
Like
record
maybe
it. You have to
really?
record it.
So even if we, for example, do it over Teams, do we have to like, record the whole thing?
Yeah,
And
you have to record. So remember, in terms of the documents that you'll attach, there'll be a consent form to take part of in the study, but there'll also be a consent form to be recorded.
Okay. I knew about obviously the consent to like answering the questions and everything. I didn't realize that we would have to record it. If we do it on Teams, do they have to like show their face? Not that it matters. I'm just asking.
We just care about the recording. We just care about the recording. The next phase for you, Chelsea, is when we start doing the data analysis. So you guys will do content analysis. So you would, once the interview is recorded, you would have to transcribe that interview. And the transcripts will then serve as part of the coding process. Remember, we'll start coding and we'll move from our codes to our categories to our themes. So don't worry too much about the detail that I'm sharing right now. But there is definitely that need to record. Okay, it's a non-negotiable.
Awesome.
It's two non-negotiables: recording and transcribing. Okay. Transcribing the recording. Guys, please also tell us how you're going to data protect this information, how you're going to data protect the recordings and the transcripts, password protect, where it will be saved, because it's part of the ethical things that we have to look at. And then in terms of your data, guys, here is also a very nice interview protocol. So when you put together your interview questions, this is quite a nice outline to follow. I would use this in putting together my interviews. So general rule of thumb, give space for the date, the place, who's interviewed, and yes, we are going to maintain confidentiality. And then also instructions, and then your questions that you want to ask. Please do yourselves a question. Do yourselves a favor. Ask the easy questions first, because you want to get people to start talking and to start calming down. And people aren't used to being interviewed for this kind of thing. And then just these kinds of things are important, guys. A thank you to just acknowledge, but write it there, because you don't want to forget that somebody has contributed there. And then data analysis. To be honest with you, we don't talk about validity and reliability. We talk about trustworthiness. I don't even want to see this information. Don't talk about transferability, rather just talk broadly trustworthiness with some of those elements. And then your content analysis, and you can see the process that you can use there. I will show you how to do this. Okay, we will do this together in terms of the content analysis, and it will make sense. And then I've given you ethical considerations and limitations. Please do me a favor. The best ethical considerations that I've ever received from any student was part of Jackie Grant's paper, and I have shared Jackie Grant's paper with yours. So please go and see what she's put into her paper. Okay. And that, guys, we'll chat about this again when we start putting the document together, and we'll spend a bit more time on these individual bits. I feel like I've rushed tonight. Any questions, any comments, any concerns? How are the pod leader relationships going?